Roy was the founder and chairman of GSD&M Idea City and co-founder and CEO of the Purpose Institute. He'll discuss the principle of purpose as the path to high performance and the unique role of entrepreneurs can play as the true miracle of America and engine of job growth. Roy, I'm not going to read through this because you're going to speak for yourself. You're an outstanding human being, and we're really great to have you and pleased to have you here today. Roy Spence.
Okay. Thanks for that great introduction, although well-deserved. So, what I thought we'd do today is have a short conversation. I know my job, and that's to end on time, on the power of purpose as an entrepreneur and how purpose, I believe, is going to be the deciding factor, even beyond all the things the other speaker talked about, which was great. If you don't know why you're in business or what difference you're trying to make, it's going to be the big tiebreaker in the next 10 years, and we're going to discuss that. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship. Thomas Jefferson, he was the president that we've now kicked out of our textbooks here in Texas because he wasn't significant enough, but that's another story. Thank you. As he was dying, he was a real entrepreneur. He was a Renaissance person, and he said that every generation creates a new era. And I know that sounds like, of course, and I'm not going to go through the generations, but I do believe he's right. And I'm going to tell you what I think, and I hope and I pray if the regulators and the government officials will get out of the re-election business and get in the make a difference business, what I think this era can be. I think it will be the era of entrepreneurship because we will have a deficit of quality jobs and a surplus of work to do. You hear what I just said? This is where we come in. This is where the entrepreneurs come in. We have work to do. Have you ever had a job? I haven't ever had a job. I've had work to do. And if the regulators and the politicians would get out of the re-election business and get into the make a difference business, we could ignite this nation again in this world through entrepreneurship because we create the things that weren't there before. We jump off the building and build the wings on the way down, don't we? And sometimes we friggin' hit the friggin' bottom. But you know what? If we're not jumping off the building and building on the wings on the way down, who's going to be the risk takers? So I want to read you an op-ed I did recently. I'm not going to read you the whole thing. It's fabulous, by the way, but I'm not. And it ran in a lot of places. The Brownwood Bulletin, where I grew up. The Bangs, Sentinel. It's awesome. No, it actually ran all over the country, but it says, here's an excerpt. As an entrepreneur, business person, realist, I understand we had to do some things on a magnitude that was unthinkable in the past to try to stabilize our crumbling economy. I supported it then, I do now. But at the same time, last year, so many American entrepreneurs of both political parties and independents began to urge those sitting in the power seats to stand tall for small. It's a good line. I wrote it, didn't it? To stand tall for small. But the Beltway bunch, and I wrote this, and I'm proud of it, and I got calls from people up in Washington. I don't give a shit. So, are you filming this? I do give a shit. Love y'all. You know what I'm saying? I love you. Get out of the re-election business. Get in the make a difference business. Anyway, lost my way here. But the Beltway bunch continues to, as that great philosopher Johnny Lee said, you look for love in all the wrong places. It's good, isn't it? Beltway bunch, if just for today, forget all the big and bold stuff, full of sound and fury. And get hyper-focused on supporting small business and entrepreneurs because we are the true miracle of America. If you want to really create millions of new jobs, create 1 million new businesses. Business creates jobs. It's not the other way around. There are millions and millions of small business and entrepreneurs and wannabe small business and entrepreneurs who aren't looking for a handout, just a little helping hand. If you can give the big boys free credit, can you not give us a little low credit? We did not break the rules. We get up every morning and every day, and we try to serve our customers, make our payroll, try to keep our doors open, keep our families and our employees secure, and keep their communities and our communities growing. To everyone who believes in America's purpose and the promise of it, if you can dream it, you can build it. Join me in urging our elected officials to stand tall for small and save the miracle of America. That's what I wrote, because that's what I believe. So today, at this very moment in Austin, Texas, I've just jumped off the building again and built the wings on the way down. Let's show that first slide. I just launched a new business in front of my advertising agency. It's called Royito's Hot Sauce Company. That's a 1973 Airstream, completely refurbished, from a $1 billion ad guy to trailer trash. I am climbing down the corporate ladder. It's friggin' awesome. If you'll look at on that, that's a picture of me. But anyway, so I've been making this hot sauce for 15 years. My daddy was 6'5". His name was Roy. He spoke Spanish before he spoke English. He was born in Eagle Pass, Texas, and my name is Roy, so he called me Royito all my life, little Roy, and I was little compared to him. But he had a great recipe. I try to improve it. I've sent it out every year, and I'm starting this hot sauce company, and today is our opening. And I was in the trailer at 5:30 this morning with Sarah, who makes homemade, handmade flour tortillas. And this hot sauce is made of tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, serranos. Don't you be writing this shit down. Tomatoes. You can write the other stuff down, not this. Tomatoes, serranos, not jalapenos, fresh lemon juice, not vinegar. Most stuff is made with vinegar, and salt, and cocaine. It's a little formula thing. I'll tell you why I'm doing this. Because you can see on the side it says I don't do mild. I'm doing this as a platform to encourage people, especially young people, to go out there and follow your dreams. Be kind to everybody, and don't do mild in your life. So I'm using this hot sauce as a platform to preach to wannabe entrepreneurs who are, by the way, if you know so many young people, they're either frozen or frenetic. They're supposed to go to college. I'll tell you a quick story off script. I'm going to be on time. Don't worry. I was at Tulane. My son goes there. None of my kids went to UT. They all got in, but that's another story. These two women came up to me, and they were my mother and daughter. This is recently. And I'd made us talk. And she was talking about, I love what you're talking about, the power of purpose and making a difference, but, there's no jobs out there, and Melissa, her daughter, and da-da-da-da-da. And went on and on. I was listening to them, and I finally said, ma'am, really appreciate it. Can I talk to your daughter? Hi, Melissa, I'm Roy. How are you? He said, well, great to meet you, Mr. Spence. And I said that my dad's not here. I don't know what Mr. means anymore. But I said, I want to ask you a question that you don't get asked. I want to know what you love to do. And there was that moment between mother and daughter where she kept looking like she was supposed to say accounting because they just spent $300,000 on it. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm just sitting there, just smiling. And finally she said, I love to play the piano. And her mother's jaw just dropped. And when I was in high school, I loved to teach little kids how to play the piano. I said, okay, you want to start a business together with me today? And we'll be up and running in 5 days? And she said, yeah. I said, okay, so we're going to start Melissa's piano studio. What does it take to build a piano studio? She said, a piano? I went, good. This is good. Do you have one? Yes, sir. What else? A place to teach? Yep. Do you have one? Yep. Here in New Orleans, my dad passed away a couple of years ago. My mom lives upstairs. I have a place. What else? A teacher? That'd be you. Do you have $250? She looked at her mom. Yep. We're gonna go to Elance and then LegalZoom.com. We're gonna incorporate you for $169. Now I can't do that now because I have like money, but anyway. We're gonna get a logo for $50. And we're going to put a Facebook up, and we're going to run an ad in the student newspaper, and on Friday morning, you will be up and running with Melissa's Piano Studio. I have no idea whether she did it or not. She hadn't even thought about it, people. We got to encourage people to do what you've done. And we're not going to make it easy, and we're not going to tell them it's going to be simple. But in order to create jobs and momentum in America, the only way we'll create both is to create more businesses. I believe that. Do you? We got to preach this thing, and we got to get these politicians. Nine times out of 10, nobody in Washington or in Austin has ever run a business. They've run for office. And you run them out. I don't know why I'm doing all this. I'm just pissed off because we know we're the miracle of America. People came to this country for a lot of reasons. But the main reason they came here because they thought this was the place that if you could dream it, you could build it. And we got to get that word out, and I'm going to preach it through a mechanism, through a trailer. Don't do mild. Follow your passion and your purpose. I want to tell you my quick story. Went to University of Texas. All right, baby. I love Aggies too, and I love tech people. You got to suck up to everybody when you're speaking. But anyway, I really, no, seriously. I love, Saul Ross, whatever. I actually do. So we had 4 partners. It was 1970 before y'all were born. We decided to start a business in college, multimedia shows, and we learned our first marketing lesson. We named our company Media 70. It was awesome, and it worked perfectly until January the 1st, 1971. And we found out don't name your company after a year. So we started, and none of us had any advertising experience. My partner, GSD&M, Greed, Sex, Drugs, and Money, used to be. It's not that anymore. But said, well, let's go into advertising. And so that gives our clients a lot of confidence. So I went down to the bank, had a brand new tie-dye t-shirt, ponytail, went to the loan officer, John Oliver, said, I need $5,000 to start a business. He said, what's your business plan? I said, making money, what's yours? And he loaned us the money, and we paid it back a couple of weeks ago. So so it was a cocktail reception about 10 years ago, and a guy walks up, was honoring this man named Robert Sneed, who was my mentor in college, and God knows I needed it. It was a party for him. The guy came up and said, see that older man with a cane, do you know him? Yeah, it's Robert Sneed. You remember that $5,000 you borrowed 25 years ago from City National Bank? I said, like yesterday. And he said, you know that Robert Sneed co-signed that note and never told you? Because he wanted you to believe that you got it on your own. And on this road to purpose, as entrepreneurs, I'll tell you how we can start this revolution again. If someone has done something good for you, you have to go do something good for somebody else. It's the way it works. It's the way it works. Entrepreneurs especially know. You can claim, oh, I did it on my own, but you know in your heart there was somebody who walked into your life at that moment in time. And tomorrow morning or next day, I'll tell you how we create the revolution again. We go do something for somebody else. And then Herb Kelleher, we talked about him. He picked me up. I was 28 years old. He had 8 airplanes. And he entrusted his whole company into my hands. Idiot. He was an idiot. But I had great bullshit, still do, honestly. You know what I'm saying? So Herb taught me a lot of lessons. He taught me how to drink and smoke on the job. I didn't know he drank until one day he came into the meeting sober. But he's the best. But he taught me this great lesson. It's so important for all of us to continue to remember. Take the competition serious, but not yourself. Take some yeast, people. Lighten up. It's only business. If you see that warrior's heart in Herb Kelleher, the airlines that he had to go up against and no longer here, but he always didn't take himself seriously. And he practiced the golden rule every day. And then Sam Walton came into my life. He liked me because, his dog food is named Old Roy, so I'd travel with him. And I was outside his hospital bed when he was last couple of days of his life, and he'd called in his first manager. And I heard him pull the manager down, and he said, "How are sales? How are sales?" And he taught me the curiosity does not kill the cat, it kills the competition. We'd get down, I'd go store to store with him. He'd get down on one knee with that yellow tablet, and he'd get all the big shots out of the way, and the hourly associates come up, and they would all get down on one knee, and he'd start every conversation with this thing, and I do it now too. I know what I know. I want to know what you know. And they'd tell him. I know what I know. I want to know what you know. And the final story, I had all these other, Norm Brinker at Chili's restaurant was my mentor. I got to work with him. The greatest lesson, one of the greatest lessons I learned at the University of Texas, and just when you think you're in control, that old feeling that, gosh, I got this thing knocked. There's always something out there looming. So I actually went to class when I was a senior and took notes and stuff. And then the Blue Book thing. And so I did the essay, and I knew I aced it because I'd gone to that lecture. And boy, I cleared it as psychology. Then 2 weeks later, I get back, and it's a C. And I run straight to Dr., I can't say his name, the professor, and I said, "This is impossible. I aced this thing. I was at your lecture. I took your words down word for word. There is no way I made a C on that paper." And he looked me straight in the eye, and he said, "Well, Roy, I guess I just gave a C lecture." Just when you think you're in control. And it struck me, I stay like a Akeem Olajuwon. I stay humble and I stay hungry every day. Tell a quick story. We'll get into the purpose stuff. Been married 32 years, and I promised my wife if we ever had kids, I'd never miss one of their birthdays. Now that sounds weird. I live in Austin, Texas. But I don't know, the PGA Tour, DreamWorks, the Air Force, BMW, they don't call me up and say, "Hey, Roy, can you come see me? And is tomorrow one of your kids' birthdays?" You know what I'm saying? So I did it great. And by the way, we have no clients in Austin, which is sort of sad because the people who know me the best don't hire me. But that's another story. That's another sad chapter in my life. So I was doing great, and then my son turned 15, and I was called away on this emergency, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to make it home. It didn't seem like. So I asked these two men if they would mind doing something for my son's birthday. So I want to play this video, if you don't mind. And there's one other slide, and then the video comes up, and I'll tell you the story behind this birthday gift for my son, Shay.
Shay, first time I met your dad, he wasn't much older than you are now. I want to wish you a happy 15th birthday and say I hope you look as good at 56 as he does, and I hope you're a whole lot smarter.
Shay, this is the old guy here. My kid did all right, President of the United States, and with a dad like this, you got obstacles. We all know that, but I think you're going to make it. We've heard wonderful things about you. Happy birthday.
I got home at 2 till 12 and gave this to my son, and he had like 6 girlfriends over, and I just had a moment of envy. But I'll tell you about this story. These two people had not talked to each other since the White House. The keys had been turned over the White House, and a tsunami hit 2,000 miles away. And I got these folks together, and they put purpose over politics and purpose over pettiness, and they raised $2 billion together. And we did the same thing with Katrina. Got them together when Ike hit. Just recently, I wish I was here last night for W and Clinton, I filmed them all together on the Haiti Relief Fund, which I could tell you some stories. Well, oh my God, but I can't. I really can't. I feel like I'm like eHarmony for politicians, you know? But you know what's amazing? I feel better when I see them together. We as a country feel better, I think as a world, when we put this stuff, I know about politics, but when we put purpose ahead of everything else, it is amazing how we can do big things without even really trying because we're simply doing the right thing. And it's the same way with business. So I'm going to cover some quick ground. I'm going to cover the economic situation. What is purpose? Why do you need it? How do you find it? It's very important to entrepreneurs. How do you lead with it? What does it look like? What does it sound like? Why Robert Frost was right. And I'm going to do it all right now. We're not in a recession and we're not in a depression. We're in a seasonal, generational winter. If you want to read a book that'll freak you out, it's called The Fourth Turning by a guy named Neil Howe and Bill Strauss. It's not one of those books you take to the friggin' beach. You know what I'm saying? But it's called, they predicted in 1998 that the winter that would hit America in our generation would hit in 2008. The last winter we went through here as American was the Great Depression and World War II. That was my parents' winter. The one before that was the Civil War. The one before that was the American Revolution. If you're a gardener, anybody a gardener here? Fine. Nobody. Fine. Great. I'm a gardener, so there. Whatever. So if nature can have its seasons, why can't generations? We're in a winter. They predicted this winter to hit. When the terrorist hit, I got these authors down to Austin, Texas, and said, you missed it. That it's a winter of terrorism. They said, nope. When Katrina hit, I got them back down to Austin, Texas. I said, it's a winter of incompetency of government. Nope. And it hit with furor. I do a lot of work with the Gallup organization. 2 years ago, by the way, every night we go to Gallup.com in the morning. Go to Gallup.com if you're a business person. And you look at the top right, I'm going to tell you why. We track consumer spending. I don't care if you're B2B or not. We track consumer spending every day. We ask 1,000 people every day, how much did you spend yesterday? 2 years ago, before the winter hit. By the way, the whole world economy was propped up by American consumers spending more than we had on things we didn't need, made someplace else. Let me repeat this. The whole world economy was based on the American consumer spending more than we have on things we didn't need, made someplace else. We were spending $120 a day. This isn't rent or mortgage. I'll buy that shit. We bought so much stuff. No, listen. We bought so much stuff that we had to get off-site storage to go visit it. And then the winter hit. See, I'm in the business of consumers because they got all the dough. They got the money. Even if you're in the B2B, they've got a consumer. If you go to Gallup, when you walk in and make a sales call and you know your customer's business and you know the consumer better than they do, listen to me. If you will learn the consumer even more than your customer knows their consumer, and Gallup can help you. At the deep of the winter, it was $44. Even today, it's only up to $60-something, $67. Now it'll go up on Mother's Day, $120 to $60. It's the first time in the history of America that we've been tracking the stock market goes up and consumer spending doesn't follow right along. I think there's a new norm out there. You remember the old days, we'll do more with more? Isn't that fun? Wasn't that fun? And then the winter hits, and oh, you got to do more with less. Heard that? Consumers said, no. I'm getting up in the morning, I got 2 jobs, I'm going to school, I'm taking my kids, I'm paying my taxes, I'm going to church. I'm not doing more with less. You know what I think I'll do? I think I'll simply do better with less. Better with less. A new relationship with debt. Here's the point. And I do know something about this. I didn't know it, but I learned it. The companies, yours including, that will be thriving in the next, when spring hits, and by the way, be very wary of false springs in the seasons that we're in right now. Be very wary. But the ones that we're going to thrive are the ones that are going to be in the business of improving someone else's life. That's the way it's going to be. Every company is going to be transparent whether you like it or not. If your purpose, and we're going to talk about this, is to improve your customer's life instead of make a sale, if their purpose is to improve, companies who are not going to be in the business of improving their lives genuinely in your life aren't going to be in business. I don't miss linens and things. Do you? Do you? I don't miss Circuit City. Do you? I don't miss Sharper Image. Do you? And it's going to keep going. If the leaders of the organization don't know what difference you're trying to make, it's going to be a rough hoe. So what is purpose? It's a definitive statement of the difference you're trying to make. My buddy Aristotle said it best. Where your talents, and the needs of the world intersect, therein lies your vocation. Where your talents, if you feel lost right now in your business, I urge you to go back and really re-examine why you started it. Where your gut talents intersect with the needs of your customer or the world, therein lies your purpose, therein lies your calling. That's what purpose is. At Southwest Airlines, we are not in the airline business. We're in the business to give people the freedom to fly. Would you rather be in the freedom business or the airline business? At Walmart stores, we're not in the discount retail business. We're in the business to save people money so they can live better. With the legacy campaign, the anti-smoking campaign, we're in business to keep teens from smoking and put it in an environment where anyone can quit. If you have a mission statement and you can't remember it, throw it away. You know, we're here to share shareholders and employees and whatever. What business are you in? We started our business in Austin, Texas with 3 audacious goals, big business plans. Stay together, stay in Austin, make a difference. Together today, 40 years later, we're still together, all 4 of us. I hate them. They hate me. We're still in Austin, Texas, and we're still making a difference. Everybody wants to be a partner, they just don't want to deal with the ship. Because it has a T on it a lot of times. Everybody wants to be a friend, they just don't want to deal with the friendship. Everybody wants to be a leader, they just don't want to deal with the leadership. I was giving this speech to the UT football team before we beat Oklahoma. They ought to let me talk every time because I'm good and we win, but that's another story. And I went through this whole thing and I said, you know, everybody wants to have a relation. They just don't want to have a relationship. And they all went, right on. All the football, they don't want a relationship, but the ship is where it all happens. So Is that definitive difference you're trying to make? Why do you need it? It drives everything, whether you're a small business or you're a big business. I'm going to give a Southwest Airlines story. If we can put up that next slide. We've been doing business with them a long time. Our purpose is to keep our costs down so we can keep our fares down so we can give people the freedom to fly. Got it? Is that complicated? Keep our costs down. I got so many stories on her, but I won't know. Keep our costs down so we can keep our fares down so we can give people the freedom to fly. 6 months ago, Consultant A walks into Southwest Airlines' new CEO, Gary Kelly, and says, that's a Southwest plane, and says, you're leaving $350 million on the table because you don't charge for bags. Now, I don't know about you, $350 million, is that a lot of money? Yeah. In the airline industry or any business. And then another consultant walked in, and I said, look, if you charge for a bag, you're going to violate your purpose. It's that simple. So Gary Kelly got up and said, we're not going to charge for bags, you go find the money. I said, I'll take it. And so we launched this very sophisticated program. Next slide. Very sophisticated program, very complicated. Watch how complicated this is. Bags fly free. They pay me for this shit. I'm not kidding you. They pay me. They pay me big money for this. Marketing people and lawyers make their living on being complicated. Because that, it's really complicated. Hours are passing by. It's really sophisticated. We ought to be in the business of making it simple. That's simple. They charge 100, we charge 0. Play this next commercial, and I'll tell you the results of staying true to the purpose.
Bye, Bags! We love you! We love you!
I'm gonna miss them so much.
Oh, I love those bags.
I love Bags.
Bags are my life. Bags are my life. Bags are my life. Bags are my life.
Gets you right here, doesn't it?
That's right.
Thank you. It was reported in the Wall Street Journal, so I'm not giving away any secrets. We made $1 billion of new revenue off free. We made $1 billion of new revenue charging nothing. You know why? Consumers knew that the airlines were in business to make you pay for their mistakes. And we got $1 billion worth of new market share because we charged free. Find your purpose again, people. I know you got to do other things, but you got to get up. If you think you have a job to do instead of work to do, it's not what entrepreneurs are about. We always have work to do. I want to show you what purpose looks like. I'm going to play 3 pro bono spots that we just did. Every brand that we handle, if they don't have a purpose or they won't let us go find it for them. By the way, you can't make it up. Clients come in and say, I want that freedom thing. We've taken. So I'll play these other 3. I want to show you what purpose looks like. If we can play these 3 spots real quick.
We all know Haiti was hit by a devastating earthquake.
Tens of thousands of Haitians have died, and that number is rising.
We don't have time to sit around and talk about what we can do to help.
Because they continue to run short of food and water.
Medical supplies.
Support for relief workers.
There's still something every one of us can do.
You can help by donating today.
By giving now.
Because one more thing they're running short of is time.
We did that in 2 hours.
used to always doing something with a cigarette. It can be hard doing it without one. But if you can learn how to drink coffee without cigarettes, then you can learn to do anything without cigarettes.
Is that not true?
Hello, 911.
Someone's trying to break into my house.
Sorry, ma'am. Our local community college had its budget cut, so we're a little short on police at the moment.
What?
Yeah, do you happen to have a rolling pin or a golf club?
No.
Do you know any kicks or pressure holds? How about jujitsu?
Jujitsu?
Less support for higher education means fewer trained police. 83% of first responders are trained in community colleges.
Are you limber? Can you run?
America's colleges and universities. We teach the people who solve the problems and change the world.
Are you limber? Can you run? Purpose doesn't have to be heavy. You can have a lot of fun with it as long as the purpose is actually articulated. I'm going to play 3 other spots or so on the commercial side to show you what it looks like as well. Yep, you know where it's going.
Hi, boy. How are you? Missed you all day. Oh, thank you.
You're not as clean as you think. Aren't you glad you used Dial?
We didn't set out to be a getaway car or an art car. We didn't intend to be a part of any subculture or pop culture. We didn't set out to play games or to start a religion. We just made the car, the BMW 3 Series, another expression of independence from a company built on it.
C'est qui la cible?
Est-ce qu'on connaît jamais vraiment le nom de quelqu'un?
C'est quoi le plan? Est-ce qu'on peut jamais vraiment parler de plan? Où est-ce qu'on peut cacher le truc?
Est-ce qu'on peut jamais vraiment cacher quelque chose?
T'as fini avec ta philosophie à 2 balles.
Derrière les toilettes.
Comment tu peux cacher quelque chose derrière des toilettes s'il n'y a pas de devant?
Exactement.
I love the way you've decorated in here.
Want to get away? Now you can for only $44.
You are now free to move about the country.
Thank you. Kind of wrapping up, a friend of mine from Walmart, worked there for 25 years, retired, he's young, but he needed to go reclaim his life, he said. And so he went back, got on a John Deere tractor, our client, with an LL Bean backpack, our client, and spent 2 years reclaiming his life. And he called me up and he said, Roy, I want to thank you for what you did for me at Walmart. And I said, I didn't do anything, Doug. What was it? He said, as a pharmacist, and then he became the worldwide merchant. He made all the decisions and all the merchandise. He said, I used to think in black and white, and you helped me think in color. And I want to send you what purpose sounds like. I want you to listen to it. I want you to call me back, because this is what purpose sounds like. Final video, and then I'll tell you why he sent it to me, and then we'll close up. This is what purpose sounds like.
I heard there was was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. Faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her waiting on the roof, her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. Well, she tied you to a kitchen chair, she broke your throne and she cut your hair, and from the lips she drew the hallelujah. Baby, there's a God above, but all I've ever learned from love is how to shoot somebody who outdrew you. It's not a cry that you hear at night, it's not somebody who's seen the light, it's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah.
I called Doug and I said I saw it. He said, this is what purpose sounds like if you have it right in your company. Everybody knows the words to the song. You listen to one another. You step up when it's your turn. And it sounds awesome when you all sing together. And by the way, it helps to have a good song to sing. Look at your organization. Do we know what we stand for? Or are we just selling what we sell? Know the song, listen to one another, step up when it's your turn, sing together, because you probably have a great song. I'm going to wrap up, and you didn't think I'd get to Robert Frost, but see. I was in New York City about 3 days, and I got to go. I like New York, but 3 days, and I got to get out of there. And I was watching Nancy Grace, every priest killed their mother and every daughter killed their and every athlete killed every dog and whatever. And I went, that's not the America I know. So I decided to walk across America. You can see the logic. And so I'm walking, I've been through 5 states. It's really interesting to explain to my wife. But, and I'm taking a picture of something good every mile. And here's what I found out on my first leg through 5 states. You can join me, by the way. I'm starting in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I'm walking. I just have a little backpack with 2 American flags. I'm meeting entrepreneurs you won't believe. People are not waiting for the ship to come in, just creating things. So here's what I found out. Robert Frost was right. There are 2 roads diverging in the yellow wood, and sorry I cannot travel both and be one traveler. God knows I've tried. On one road, if you become what you look for, if you look for enemies, you'll find them. If you look for hate, it'll live in your heart. If you look for gossip, it'll consume you. And if you look for fear, it'll follow you. On another road, if you look for friends, you'll be befriended. And if you look for love, it'll lift you up. And if you look for the truth, it'll set you free. And if you look for hope, it'll take you to higher ground. As tough as it is out there, that's the road I'm on. And that's the road I think all purpose-based businesses will survive and thrive, looking for friends, looking for love, looking for the truth, looking for hope, and delivering that to your customers day in and day out. I want to thank you for paying attention. I want to thank you for being the miracle of America. And we will never give up. Because if we lose this, we lose what America is about. The road may be long, but I'm ready for the walk. Are you?
Royito, muchísimas gracias. Thank you for sharing yourself so beautifully.